Adampur Airbase or others is immediately thwarted. First pictures are on your screens of the Prime Minister at the Adampur Airbase, completely out of the blue. There was no briefing whatsoever that the Prime Minister would be visiting the Adampur Airbase. That could also be due to security reasons, because this is one of those bases that Pakistan attempted to strike. We understand that the Prime Minister visited this particular base early this morning. He was briefed by Air Force personnel on how Pakistan attempted to hit this very base and also interacted with our Jawans. There are more pictures which we're going to get you. There you have it. That's another picture of the Prime Minister. Right behind him, there's a text. Let's show the text at the back of that particular picture. Let's go full frame. You can see in that particular picture, it's written, "Why enemy pilots don't sleep well." Very, very fitting, apt message there. More pictures on your screens from the Adampur Airbase. I'll bring in Shivani Sharma. Shivani, a huge message going across from the Prime Minister to our forces and perhaps to Pakistan as well. You've got the Prime Minister visiting the Adampur Airbase, one of those locations that Pakistan attempted to hit and that Pakistan even claimed was damaged.
Akshita, this is a very strong message, not only for Pakistan, but a very big morale booster for the forces who've been conducting Operation Sindoor on ground. And Adampur Airbase has been selected very carefully by the Prime Minister, because this was the airbase where Pakistan claimed it was trying to inflict damage. In fact, some misinformation also was being carried out by Pakistan about this airbase, showing the old and tailored pictures of this airbase that it has been inflicted with certain damages. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi has today visited this airbase, and he's met these personnel, the airmen, the Jawans out there who've been deployed through the Operation Sindoor and who've been guarding the borders and thwarting each and every attempt of Pakistan. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi had given out a very strong message yesterday in his address to the nation that this was the aggressive military operation that had led Pakistan to request for a ceasefire understanding. And here we see these pictures of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the Jawans. Akshita, this is not the first time we are seeing such kind of pictures of PM with the personnel. We've been seeing him celebrating major festivals, including Diwali, on the front lines with these Jawans of different services, the Air Force, the Indian Army, and the Navy too. So these pictures are the ones which are the first meeting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the men on ground, the men in uniform who've been guarding and inflicting major damages and big blow to Pakistan. So these pictures are from the Adampur Airbase, which happens to be one of the frontline air bases, very strategically important. And Prime Minister is not only giving out a very strong message to Pakistan, but being together with the personnel is also a morale booster and a message that our forces are standing strong against Pakistan.
Let me also bring in senior journalist Sandeep Unitan on this broadcast. Sandeep, this is very clear strategic messaging by the Prime Minister to choose to go to the Adampur Airbase early this morning. And by the way, there was no information of that given to the media, perhaps for also security reasons. But to visit the very airbase that Pakistan attempted to hit, that Pakistan even claimed they'd hit. That's, messaging being sent across to Pakistan, equally to our forces, that we stand with them.
Multiple messaging here by the Prime Minister. The message number one is that he is not afraid to use the Indian Air Force as an instrument of state policy. If Pakistan uses terrorism, India will use its Air Force immediately to retaliate. That's message number one. We've done it in Balakot. We've done it again in Operation Sindoor. The second message is that he is with the Air Force in the time that they have risen to the occasion of fighting a counter-terrorist battle with Operation Sindoor. The operation is ongoing. He's sending out another message with that he stands by the Indian Air Force, which is continuing to run Operation Sindoor as a counter-terrorist operation. It's a very unusual operation of a kind that we haven't seen anywhere in India's history. So multiple messages coming out of here by the Prime Minister's visit to this frontline fighter airbase, Adampur, which Pakistan claims to have targeted, but clearly, as the visuals show you, it's absolutely up and running and fully functional.
I just want to highlight also that there's a message behind the Prime Minister's one picture there which says, "Why enemy pilots don't sleep well." there couldn't be a more fitting picture and a more fitting message from the Adampur Airbase and from the heroes who are deployed there, who so bravely fought off Pakistan and any attempt to hit this very airbase. And this essentially thwarts all of the claims, Sandeep, being made that the Adampur Airbase was hit. The Prime Minister himself has landed there. It also sends across a message, from the Prime Minister that we're not scared. These may be border districts, these may be areas Pakistan is hitting, but the Prime Minister can visit. That's how safe we are in the hands of our Jawans.
Absolutely, and that is Prime Minister Modi communicating in many ways than one, not only through his words and actions, but also photographs. If you see just the poster that you mentioned that the Prime Minister was standing in front of, a clear message again to Pakistan that don't think that Operation Sindoor is over. Our Air Force remains ready, alert to tackle any threat that you can throw at us, either from the ground or from the air. We are watching you. We're very careful. We're going to be using the Air Force once we've used it in the past with Balakot, and of course Operation Sindoor, which is an ongoing Indian Air Force-led and driven operation. And the important thing I wanted to highlight is that from his speech yesterday, the Prime Minister mentioned that the enemy was expecting us to attack from the land, an indication of Operation Parakram and surgical strikes using the army. But we attacked them into their hearts, which he indicated that the use of the Indian Air Force. And he was going to say, what he meant to say is that we are not going to be going in for land op missions of the kind that we did in the past, where, you followed a certain pattern of predictability, where the military would mobilize and come to the border and then try and strike or mobilize and try and dominate the enemy. But here, it is the Indian Air Force that flies within a matter of minutes, and that has been proven by the 12th of May rampage.
Correct. The details that have emerged from Operation Sindoor, the role of our Air Force really in this entire operation, undoubtedly unprecedented, really. And I'd like to bring in Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur on this broadcast. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. We are getting currently pictures of the Prime Minister's visit to the Adampur Airbase. And I don't think there's a greater morale booster than this. The Prime Minister visiting there just days after Pakistan attempted to hit this very airbase, sir.
Good afternoon and Jai Hind. That's a very good gesture on the part of the Prime Minister to have gone to a frontline base, and a base which the ISPR in their press briefings is saying was attacked and put out of action. Of course, that lie has been exposed on social media by responsible people. The fact that the head of the government goes and visits people who have taken part in combat is a very good morale booster. And the feelings that will go down to the personnel at Adampur and elsewhere, as well as to the families. Please remember, in combat, the families provide the support back home.
Very true.
So the message that goes back is good, that the Prime Minister has gone there, and I think we can expect a few more such visits.
Also, Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, what does this mean, for the Indian Air Force, for the Jawans who are posted there? That at a time of high security, at a time when there are so many narratives being spun around really what happened at the Adampur Airbase, you've got the Prime Minister visiting to send across a message from a very, very grateful nation.
Well, as I said, that is absolutely right on the part of the Prime Minister to have gone there, because it conveys the relationship between the executive, head of the executive and the armed forces. The armed forces operated together, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, and the results are there for all to see. Now, Adampur takes on special significance because it's an absolutely frontline base, brimming with our offensive assets of various kinds. And the fact that a big hoo-ha was made by the other side, that it has been put out of commission or the runway has been damaged, nothing better can be than the Prime Minister going and landing there.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on India Today with your view on this. And I'm sure many in the country agree right now that the Prime Minister visiting this airbase at such a time is so crucial. Because he's also sending across a message to our forces that we stand by them in this challenging time. We thank them for all that they've done. And this is the very airbase. There's no doubt that there's a reason the Prime Minister and the PMO chose the Adampur Airbase, because this is one of the 3 airbases that Pakistan claimed to have hit: the Adampur Airbase, Jammu and the Adampur Airbase. And so you're busting that entire lie when the Prime Minister himself is there and there are pictures of him with the Jawans. So just look at this one picture that we're showing you. You've got the Prime Minister standing and right behind him a message that directly aims at Pakistan, saying why enemy pilots don't sleep. Well, that picture couldn't have been better framed. And this is a message that's written on the wall very fittingly of the Adampur Airbase that Pakistan thought that they could attempt to strike. And they were again proved to be unsuccessful. Their strategy didn't work, courtesy all the men that you see standing around the Prime Minister in that picture, looking joyous and proud that their Prime Minister is with them. I want to bring in Gaurav Sawant, the managing editor, for more really on these pictures. Your heart swells with pride, Gaurav, when you see these pictures of all of our Jawans, the brave faces of the Adampur Airbase who thwarted that Pakistan attack.
You're absolutely right. Adampur is a frontline fighter jet base of the Indian Air Force in Punjab, and Pakistan has repeatedly tried to strike it, and it failed. Yesterday when Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation, he spoke of how Made in India weapons played a very key role. And, the valor of our braves, of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Central Armed Police Forces, the intelligence agencies, he dedicated that valor to the mothers and daughters of India, to the Nari Shakti of Bharat. And that is why Operation Sindoor is an absolute game changer in responding to Pakistan's terror. And now he's with those warriors at the front line of that war on terror. The fact that Pakistan repeatedly tried to target multiple bases, including Adampur, which is one of our frontline bases and not very far, from the international border. And the fact that our forces were able to, withstand the onslaught that came, whether they were the Turkish radars or the Turkish UAVs or the Chinese UCAVs or the Pakistani, standoff missiles. Each and every air warrior that you see in that picture, they were able to withstand the pressure and hit back, and hard. So much so that 13 Pakistani Air Force bases and radars, they were targeted very systematically, and each and every one using a standoff weapon. So this is really air power of India coming of age, weapons of India to a very large extent coming of age, and that is why the Prime Minister is with the frontline fighters on the front lines near the international border at the Adampur Airbase. It's a very significant step here, Akshita.
And there's no better way, Gaurav, to bust the narrative being pushed by Pakistan that our air bases have been hit than the Prime Minister himself visiting one of these air bases that have been dented, according to Pakistan. That if the Prime Minister can be there early in the morning, there's no question of any damage. We've got pictures from that very air base, Gaurav.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The Pakistanis tried and they failed. And we don't have this from sources. We have it from the Prime Minister of the country himself. In that address, he mentioned how Pakistan had tried, but India's air defense system, it was like a wall, like a shield that the Pakistanis, their weapons and systems could not penetrate. And, Government of India, you have seen all the briefings of Air Marshal Bharti, of Admiral Pramod, and also General Rajiv Ghai, the DGMO, the DG Air Ops and DG Naval Ops. Pakistan repeatedly tried to target our frontline bases, repeatedly launched missiles, including a high-speed missile. It launched drones, unmanned combat aerial vehicles. The entire system failed. It could not penetrate our air defense shield. However, when India struck, India was able to strike hard across 13 bases from Skardu in Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir to across its frontline fighter bases in Pakistan's Punjab province, whether it was Noor Khan in Rawalpindi or Sakkar was targeted, or Bholari in Sindh, or Jacobabad where it has its F-16s, or the most crucial Sargodha Airbase, where not only the aircraft but the runway and certain other critical facilities were targeted. Rahim Yar Khan was targeted. Rafiki, from where the air drones were being launched, that was targeted. Near precision strikes, pinpoint accuracy, and within 90 minutes, Pakistan's air assets were destroyed, decimated to a very large extent. The Prime Minister has just gone to one of the main air bases to say thank you to India's air warriors, Akshita.
And I can't help but read into the multiple messages being sent across here, Gaurav, with this visit. The Prime Minister could have chosen to be there with our forces at any location, and particularly at a high security location, even in Delhi. He chose to visit one of those air bases that Pakistan attempted to strike, and that were days after Pakistan attempted to strike. And that itself tells you that the Prime Minister is sending across a message to Pakistan that, look, we're not scared. We've got our defenses intact.
Akshita, you're spot on. Operation Sindoor is the new normal. It's actually a paradigm shift in India's response to Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. The manner in which India struck across from Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir to Sindh, where the Maler camp, Karachi, Bulari in Sindh, no province of Pakistan on this side facing India was left untouched. And it's significant damage where it would hurt Pakistan. You know, the air traffic controller, the radars, the fighter jets, runways, holes punched in the runway at a critical depth. And if you look at the diameter, you know, early this morning we were speaking to one of the air warriors. He said, look at the weapons that we've used, including made in India weapons that have punched such a huge hole in the runway. It'll take a long time for Pakistan to fill it. It may not be reusable immediately. What is worse, it cannot replace the radars immediately. Pakistan does not have the money. So Pakistan's ability to wage war against India is systematically being degraded by the government in such precise, calibrated operations that for a very long time, costs have been imposed on Pakistan for being a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror, Akshita.
Yeah, Gaurav, thank you for joining us with all of those details. These pictures are on your screens there of Prime Minister Modi at the Adampur Airbase, one of the bases that Pakistan attempted to hit. And there are pictures of the Prime Minister there, as you see, with the message of why enemy pilots don't sleep well. Besides that, there are pictures of him interacting with personnel, with our heroes of the Indian Air Force and also the Army, all of them at the base. There are those pictures of the Prime Minister with our Air Force heroes who stopped Pakistan from not just attacking the Adampur Airbase, but also from targeting civilian areas all around this particular base. And I'll bring in Shivani Sharma also for more details on the Adampur Airbase as well, Shivani. You know, the fact that the Prime Minister chose this particular base, which is in one of the border districts, which is one of the locations that Pakistan attempted to hit. This is clearly a decision that was taken by the PMO to be there and meet with the Jawans who've been working for the last many days, who've been ensuring that, you know, we keep India safe. So the Prime Minister ensuring that he was there at that very base for a reason.
Akshita, we'll tell our viewers the strategic importance of Adampur base. This is the frontline air base that's located close to Jalandhar. And it has very important assets, the fighters like MiG-29, the Sukhois, and the air defense systems, S-400 units too, and much more out there. And this particular air base has been historically important as India has been dominant over Pakistan in multiple conflicts, including the 1965, the 1971 war. And we have always been the superior force on Pakistan. And Pakistan, this time during the Operation Sindoor and after which it tried to attack and falsely claimed that it had damaged Adampur, which is one of the most important air bases on the Western Front, where the mobilization of our fighters can take place in just a few seconds, Akshita. And this time also, this particular airbase had been very important in the operational military operations, the aggressive operations, in fact, against Pakistan. So Prime Minister went there early morning today at around 7. He spent 1 hour there with these airmen, not only taking a review and telling them that, yes, I'm standing behind you, the military power, the freedom, that operational freedom that we were talking about, that has